Well, this has taken a little longer to get to than I'd hoped. It's that time of year again. I mean, it was. Which means it's time for another costume. And this year I decided to make something that, honestly, is long overdue. Batman! The Caped Crusader is the most popular superhero for good reason. I think what makes him so interesting is he's just a guy. I mean, meaning he doesn't have superpowers, and yet he's able to keep up with the likes of Superman. When they go head to head, Batman usually wins. He has no right to do that, but he does thanks to his superior intellect and prep time, and because, frankly, it makes for a better story when the guy who has no business defeating a demigod comes out on top, no matter what their mother's names are. Beyond that, he has the best villains. Each one is a foil to an aspect of his personality and psyche. Each one representing a shortcoming or failure that the Dark Knight has. And each forces Batman with that ever-confronting question of, is this really the best way I can be using my parents' fortune? Full disclosure, no. No. But this is what keeps people coming back to Batman. I mean, seriously, look how many movies there are of this guy. They keep making them, and we keep paying money to see them. So that just goes to show you how awesome he is. For me, it was Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy that got me into Batman, and I think because of that Batsuit is my favorite. I know that's going to upset a lot of purists, but it's the truth. That's how I feel. So that was the one I decided to make. Now, it's designed to look like a tactical military suit of armor. So it was a unique challenge to figure out, how do I make all these pieces and then bring it all together into one suit? Now, this was a real challenge because precision is not my strong side. I can't tell you how many times I will take a measurement, measure it again, and measure it a third time. And then when I make my cut, I'm still 2 inches short of what I need it to be. It's infuriating. So I was really hesitant to try to use something like foam, where I have to hand draw pieces and cut them out and hope you can bend them the right way. I prefer the computer. I think that's what's really I've enjoyed about 3D printing, is if I say I want this piece to be 140 millimeters, it's going to come out as 140 millimeters. It doesn't matter what intervention I get in the way with, it's going to be the
Almost lost my cool there.
I thought about 3D modeling the pieces, but frankly, I don't have that skill yet either. I've not done enough sculpting and to this level. I just wasn't confident that I could pull that off. Fortunately, the internet has done the heavy lifting for us this time. Between users Buck6Ghoul and Jumperman971, Thingiverse had all the armor pieces designed and ready to print. All I had to do was take a 3D scan of myself, which I did with a free app on my phone, and then scale everything to my body. As you can imagine, printing took a long time. I started back in February, and to be honest, I wasn't even certain I was going to do this for Halloween, because, who couldn't do with a spare Batsuit in their house? Fortunately, I got a resin printer for Christmas last year and was really eager to try it out because the quality it makes compared to my FDM printer, wow, that's all I can say. So I did some of the key pieces with the resin, like the mask, the chest plate, the gauntlets, and a few others, while I did the rest of it in PLA or TPU. TPU is a nice material. It's softer, a little bit more flexible, designed to be resistant to wear and tear. It's also hard to print with. And most of my prints that I tried TPU with just failed outright. It was really disappointing, as this was probably the ideal material to do the bulk of the armor, but it didn't work. I got a few pieces to come out right, the neck, and a few of the leg pieces, but ultimately most of the armor was made from PLA. One of the challenges with the mask is that Batman's mask comes around his chin. That means the hole at the bottom is about the size of your neck. And maybe this is not the case for you, but I'm a pretty smart guy, so my head is bigger than my neck. So the question is, how do you design the mask so you can still put it on, especially if you're doing it from a rigid material like resin. I decided to go with a method that I've seen other people use for masks, where you essentially make two halves and have them attached together with magnets. Sounds pretty easy, right? Not so easy, actually. I had to spend a lot of time doing trial and error to figure out the right way to do this. I had to figure out, okay, what size magnets do I need to use? And where do I put them so they're not digging into the side of my head? We eventually figured it out. The mask does fit a little bit tight, which I think makes for a nice sleek look, but it's a little tight. My ears get pushed to the side of my head, and I'm not able to wear my cochlear implant processor while I wear the mask. Even though bats are known for their phenomenal hearing, that is one attribute I will not be sharing with the Dark Knight.
What? Huh? You're gonna have to speak up, son. What? Could you repeat that, please? Say it louder. What? What'd you say? There's no need to whisper here. We're not in church. Huh? A little louder. What? What?
What you say?
Probably the only attribute, though. If you push it, like, it looks bigger. For painting, I decided to use black and dark gray. I was a little hesitant about this because when you think of Batman, you usually just think black. And I was worried the gray would throw it off, but actually the two tones created a nice contrast that I think highlighted different parts of the armor and didn't leave it looking flat. For the base layer of the costume, I just used spandex. I attached all the armor pieces with contact cement, which worked okay. It adhered really good at first, but because most of the pieces were rigid resin or PLA, every time I moved, pieces started to peel away from my chest or legs. It was kind of tough to keep them attached. I ended up adding no-sew Velcro to a lot of the pieces that were peeling away just to reinforce them, which worked okay until I had to take the costume off. Then the no-sew glue ended up peeling away from the spandex. I went back and tried to hand stitch some of these. That didn't really work too well either. In the end, every time I put on the costume, I just had the hot glue gun ready to go and reinforce pieces that were coming off, and that worked well enough. I will say it is my biggest disappointment with this project is, it's fine to wear if I'm standing around, walking around lightly, but any real physical movement, pieces are gonna start to fall off. The cape was just a couple yards of fabric cut into a bat shape. The gloves I actually already had. A couple years back before I went to military training, I had to get a pair of good tactical gloves. And I remember buying this particular pair because, well, they were giving strong Batman vibes. I attached buckles and Velcro to the gauntlets to attach them to my forearms. Originally for the boots, I was just going to use the same pair that I had for Davy Jones and Loki. But unfortunately, as we were moving just a short time before Halloween, those boots got boxed up and taken from my house before I could set them aside. I panicked a little bit. I did not want to be a Batman wearing tennis shoes. Fortunately, Amazon's 2-day shipping came through for me, and I was able to get these nice black leather boots for a good deal. And I think, honestly, they look a little bit better than the original ones I was going to use with this pleated design in the front and side zipper. I actually designed the belt from scratch and was really happy with the look. I was able to mimic the links pretty well. Problem was I did it all out of resin, so it made it a little heavy, and this was the piece that fell apart the most. If I were to remake it, I would print the links out of PLA, try to keep them hollow if I could, and the centerpiece, I would put the buckle in the front at the centerpiece instead of the back where I had it on this one. I wanted it to be in the front when I did this one, but originally I was designing it for a plastic buckle, and that just didn't work. It was too heavy and wouldn't support it. And so in the end I added a higher military grade buckle in the back, and it would have been so satisfying to put that in the front. I realized I could have remade the buckle, but where I'd already printed and painted everything, I said, nah, I'm not going to do that. I wish I had. If I had one wish, that's what I would do. I would wish I could go back in time and convince myself to make that belt, to remake it so it snaps in the front. That's what I would wish for.
Nice.
Like most of my costumes, I needed a significant amount of prep time to get suited up. It took a good 30 minutes to get everything on, mostly because I had to put each piece on slowly so it wouldn't fall off. But it was a process. I can only imagine the system the real Bruce Wayne uses when he sees that bat signal light up in the sky.
We will be closing the office at 12 p.m. tomorrow for Halloween. Hope everyone has a fun and safe holiday. Who's gonna check my eyes?
And there you have it! Batman complete. It was a lot of fun wearing the costume. A lot of fun we were able to do another family theme this year of the Justice League. My wife created her very own Wonder Woman costume, which turned out fantastic. My daughter was the Teen Titan Raven. And my little boy donned the red cape as Superman. He was the cutest Superman you've ever seen. It was a unique challenge, especially where pretty much the whole project was 3D printed. I've learned a lot of techniques and ideas for future projects, and probably going to be a little more open to using other methods besides strictly 3D printing. It definitely has a place for costumes, but I think trying to do everything out of 3D printing, it has its limitations for sure. But again, I don't regret it. I think the costume looked amazing. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to find opportunities to wear it. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully it was entertaining to see the ridiculous lengths I go to for this silly hobby I have. But I have a good time with it. And so, until next time, this is The Dark Knight, signing off. Happy Halloween. Or I guess maybe Happy Thanksgiving. Or maybe by the time this gets posted, Merry Christmas.